It has been our custom to ask alumni to speak at commencement about their experiences after UCLA, a little bit more immediate for all of you. And believe me, there is life after UCLA. Emily Dickinson's aphorism is apt: finite to fail, but infinite to venture. Christopher Zaida, our 2013 Distinguished Alumni Speaker, launched his extraordinarily successful ventures with a BA in English awarded in spring 1984. One of those delay it to the end majors who took my Milton course that last quarter. A Bruin for life, Chris earned his MBA from UCLA's Anderson School of Management in 1989, having earlier started his career at Walt Disney, where he rose to Chief Investment Officer. Then, as Amazon's Vice President and International CFO, he secured billion-dollar financing for global expansion and helped engineer a corporate turnaround for which all students who buy textbooks are indebted. He managed eBay's first comprehensive budgeting process and was instrumental on their PayPal acquisition team. Then, as CFO of Luminant, designed the real estate trust's first public offering on the New York Stock Exchange. Since 2007, as founder and CEO of Mosaic, he customizes wealth management portfolios for individuals, family funds, and foundations. Clients praise his impeccably sound judgments, loyalty, and ethical integrity. Chris told me he's an investment psychologist. I heard English major, who analyzes client desires, then scripts scenarios as a financial guru. A terrific and talented man, one admirer writes, but Chris modestly underplays his other talents: training in CrossFit and Olympic lifting, great prep for a Camp Pendleton 10K mud run, and his love of piano and creative writing. My colleague in history, Teo Ruiz, a National Humanities Medalist, captures the hope of every professor. We remember our writers, our teachers. As long as you remember me, as I always tell my students, I am alive. With immense gratitude, we welcome back Christopher Zaida, a humanist at heart who keeps us alive as teachers by remembering and by sharing today his life story after UCLA. Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rowe, my favorite professor. Thank you also for my A in your Milton course, and for making me memorize the first and the last 5 lines of Paradise Lost for extra credit, which, as you know, I can still recite today. It was fun to say them with you at the UCLA Humanities dinner on Thursday night. Well, congratulations, UCLA English graduates of 2013. I am honored to address all 350 of you graduates, your parents, and your families, and to share with you some uplifting advice that I wish someone had told me back when I graduated. Think of this as an extra 4 units that you get to absorb in just 10 minutes. I'm also very happy to have my wonderful partner for the last 9 years, Michael, supporting me from the audience up there today. Nearly 30 years after graduating, attending college at UCLA remains one of my best life decisions. So many fun memories for me here, like being in the Delta Sig fraternity, serving on Spring Sing Committee, handcuffing myself to Murphy Hall during a protest, then playing the piano at Chancellor Young's Christmas party afterwards, running the 1,245 steps at Drake Stadium and the 4-mile perimeter of the campus, although back in my day, we did not do this in our underwear like you did on Wednesday night. And on top of all this fun, I received a world-class education here. Now, I was hooked on English literature the moment that Professor Michael Allen, in my English 10A course, read out loud that shockingly pornographic poem, A Ramble in St. James Park, written in 1672 by John Wilmot II, Earl of Rochester. For the non-English majors in the audience, this Lord Wilmot was the Charlie Sheen of his era, and his poem describes in graphic detail a wild and salacious sexual Disneyland happening in this park right outside the gates of Buckingham Palace in London. It sounded to me like Mardi Gras in Rio, or Burning Man, or Coachella, or the Folsom Street Fair times 10, not that I've been to any of them. Parents, aren't you happy your tuition went for things like this poem? Anyway, I remember thinking to myself, wow, if I ever make it to England someday, I am definitely checking out this St. James Park. More on that in a few minutes. Well, that poem led to my English degree, my life's greatest intellectual endeavor, the opportunity to read by age 22, the world's greatest literature, and to learn how to think. More people should learn how to think. You're all going to find that out very soon now when you start working. I didn't mind carrying 20 pounds of books all over campus, though today you probably read everything on iPads and Nooks and Sony readers. My English degree has been so good to me and good for me. But life hasn't always been so easy. I feel very close to all of you now, so I can share this quite personal and serious story. One of the scariest moments of my life occurred at the end of my freshman year when I summoned the courage to drive home to Porter Ranch for my coming out speech to my conservative parents. I sat them down, I took a deep breath, and I said those ominous words, "Mom, Dad, I hope you'll still love me, but I'm going to major in English." Eventually, my mother spoke. Hopeful that one of her 3 children would become a doctor, Mom asked me, her youngest and her last chance for one, "Chris, how will you get into medical school with an English degree?" So far, this was going well. Then my father went right for the jugular vein, declaring, "Chris, your mother and I are paying $714 a year for you to go to UCLA." Dad always started with numbers. He continued, "How will you find a job with an English degree? You know, you can't move back home after graduation." Oh, brother. And there you have it, folks. English degree bullying. How many of you have endured this? Let it all out. Why do people have to pick on North Campus English majors? Well, this helps me feel better. When your iPhone drops that important call for the 5th time, when you click on that software update that ruins your laptop for weeks, when your GPS navigation system leads you into the side of a mountain instead of to the Getty Museum, when you try to play your music that you stored up in the cloud and that cloud has evaporated, when you turn on your television to watch the Olympics and you see a message looking for satellite signal for 2 hours, just remember this. Every one of these incredibly frustrating experiences, my friends, is brought to you by the work of South Campus graduates. South Campus Technology and Science graduates, that's their work product. So my parents were wrong about the value of a BA in English. The truth is you can do anything you want in life with your English degree. I am living proof of this. Look at me. I went into finance. If you forget every other thing I say today, and I can't remember a thing my 1984 commencement speaker said, remember this: you can do anything you want in the world with your English degree. There's your 4 units. But there's more. Your English degree actually will be your secret weapon in life. if our famous basketball coach, John Wooden, had created an academic version of his pyramid of success, the English degree would be at the top. There are 17 good reasons for this. Get ready for the top 5. Scared you, didn't I? First reason, English combines every other academic subject. No other degree does this. You want some history? Well, we've got Shakespeare's Richard III, that cheerful, uplifting play. And how about business? Look no further than George Bernard Shaw's Mrs. Warren's Profession, which in hindsight actually is about business. Child psychology, anyone? Curl up with Oedipus, either the Aeschylus or the Sophocles version. You see, we are well-rounded because English combines every subject into entertaining literature, which we got to read on chaise lounges at the Sunset Canyon Rec Center, in between volleyball and, let's call it, swimming laps in that lovely 82-degree Olympic swimming pool. Parents, your tuition paid for this swimming pool too. Second reason, English prepares you better for life than other degrees because literature provides a real-life perspective from a safe reading distance. Now as you leave college, welcome to the Octagon, where the dramas, heroes, heroines, and villains of literature will leap off the pages of your Norton anthologies and into your lives whether you're ready or not. For example, I once worked with a management team full of Iagos right out of Othello. Imagine the fun. And my first mother-in-law reminded me of Grendel the monster's mother in Beowulf. At one company, during an endless screaming match between the French management team and the English management team, I relived the Norman conquest of 1066. English major humor, where else on earth can you do this? I even once worked with Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat, which I know does not count as English literature. This is for the non-English majors here, so they're not left out. Everyone said that they were totally unmanageable employees, but I could get them to do anything I wanted just by asking them to do the opposite. You see how literature prepares you for life. Reason number 3, English majors are creative. I can only imagine the creative ways in which you have smuggled alcohol into Pauley Pavilion today. I know it's out there. Countless times in my career, the creativity and my what would an English major do logic has allowed me to analyze situations differently than other people and to solve problems that many have deemed impossible to solve. Creativity is a wonderful gift, and you have it. Fourth reason. Woo! Fourth reason, English majors possess the elements of style, that all-important power of words. Your graduate school essays, if you go to graduate school, will blow people away. Your letter to the editor will be the one that gets published. Your reviews on Yelp will be admired and feared by many. Your 140-character thoughts will be retweeted more than other people's. You will always win at Scrabble. And when you start working, you will be shocked to find that most people today can't even write a proper sentence or spell. Your communication skills will help you get ahead. In my own experience, a few weeks after I joined the Walt Disney Company, our chief financial officer needed to meet with Wall Street analysts about Disney's earnings. I was assigned to write his speech, and it was such a hit that I became known throughout Disney as the finance guy who could write and explain what the numbers actually mean. And for the rest of my 10 years at Disney, in addition to investing the company's money, I drafted nearly every financial speech and presentation that Disney made. This helped my career immensely. And finally, the most important fifth reason of why English majors are at the top of this fictitious John Wooden academic pyramid that I invented. We are more insightful, more cultured, more understanding, and we are smarter. We have more common sense, and we make the world a more civilized place. Plus, we're humble. And we are in the company of great English major Americans, such as Michael Eisner, the longtime CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Steve Wynn, the casino mogul, Diane Sawyer and Barbara Walters, two giants in television news, Thurgood Marshall, the first African-American U.S. Supreme Court Justice, Stephen King, the author, Sally Ride, the first female space astronaut, Steven Spielberg, the film director, and even Dr. Harold Varmus, who won the 1989 Nobel Prize in Medicine, so my mom would be happy to know that at least one English major became a doctor. All right, it's time to find a career, an adventure akin to Adam and Eve's wandering steps out of the Garden of Eden at the end of Paradise Lost, because today the world is all before you. There's my Milton reference, Dr. Rowe. That's all from the last 5 lines you made me memorize. It's healthy for you to try different things before you settle down. My first job after college lasted only 5 days. I worked for a producer in Hollywood. On my 5th day at work, he hit on me. Now, I don't blame him. When I was 22 years old, I was really hot. But I said no. He took it badly. I had to quit. 5 days, first job. Hopefully, you will all start off better than this. So from my own songs of experience of life, twisted as they may be, here are my cliff notes of suggested and non-preachy career advice that worked for me. Try to pursue what you love doing, also known as your passion, or at least what you're good at. This helps a lot if you want success. Seek out and work with the smartest people that you can find in your field. I have worked with a lot of incredibly smart people and a lot of incredibly less smart people. Working with smart people is better. Along the way, learn the paradox of money. Money does not necessarily make you happy. The most unhappy people I've encountered were multimillionaires working at internet companies who were miserable and battled with ulcers, depression, cancers, bouts of pneumonia and bronchitis that never seemed to go away, just like Lady Macbeth and her nightly hand washing. But they were all rich. Learn how to trust yourself and your own judgment. Nearly every time in my life when I have made a mistake, it's because I listened too much to someone else's opinion. Take risks in your career. It's okay to feel scared when you take risks because facing your fears helps you grow. A lot of people will say, no, don't take risks, particularly well-meaning people who supposedly only want the best for you. Don't listen to them, it is a trap. Try to be the best at whatever you pursue. My parents, both of whom were valedictorians of their high schools and their colleges, no pressure there, always said this to me and it drove me nuts, but it's good advice for success. How you do anything is how you do everything. When you try to be the best, you may not actually turn out to be the best, but you will be amazed at how far you actually get. To succeed, you will also need some luck, but do not confuse luck with chance. Chance is when you win the lottery or gambling at cards in Las Vegas. You can create luck for yourself by working hard and paying attention to the opportunities that are all around you. Perhaps you will go to graduate school like me. I earned an MBA from the UCLA Anderson School, a great program, and contrary to what you might be thinking, parents especially, my MBA did not make my English degree relevant or useful. Rather, my English degree made my MBA more relevant and more useful and more powerful in my career. I can't emphasize this last point enough. Extra 2 units here. A few words about corporate America. Be wary. Today, corporate America is a living metaphor of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. For example, I worked at one company that sued me for quitting my job. We have a great word for things like this in English literature, Dickensian. So consider doing your own thing and allow corporate America to be your road not taken and make Robert Frost proud. To succeed, you will also need to work really hard. I have usually worked far more than 60 hours per week, even nowadays when I'm supposed to be slowing down. You may also need to move a lot. I have moved 22 times. Final career advice. Shelley's poem, Ozymandias, says that humanity will crumble into oblivion, but that was before the internet, which has no delete button. So consider hiding your incriminating Facebook photos now before you become known. The NSA and the CIA agree with me. Now, 3 comments about life before I conclude. 1, the world is no utopia, and the book of your life will contain a few chapters that really suck. At times, you will feel trapped in the rhyme of the ancient mariner, stuck on a ship in the ocean, while life goes haywire all around you. You will lose cherished loved ones. You may witness friends or family members being swallowed up by drugs, alcohol, smoking, or other addictions. Spouses, partners, bosses, work colleagues, and even trusted friends may betray you. At some point, you will experience failure. I have experienced every single one of these things in my life. And look at me, I'm still here, alive, giving your commencement speech. 2, I encourage you to live a life of integrity. Do not buy into the culture of corruption that seems to have gripped every corner of American society today. Do the right thing, even if no one is looking, especially if no one is looking. These choices matter over the long arc of your life. And three, no happy occasion, including this one, would be complete for English majors without a discussion of death. Let carpe diem, seize the day, guide your life, which is an amazing journey, even with all the bad stuff included. Don't be a lady of Shalott, shut inside a tower, viewing life through a mirror. For our non-English majors, the Lady of Shalott was the Romantic era's version of a cat lady. Carpe diem for me has meant competing in rodeos, scuba diving, river rafting, placing 212th in the world in this year's CrossFit Open competition, and traveling to exotic places like the jungles of Vietnam, a third world country where I experienced my best iPhone reception ever. Explain that, South Campus technology graduates. I hope you all get to visit Geoffrey Chaucer's grave at Westminster Abbey. I did that. I even finally made it to that inspirational St. James Park that I mentioned earlier, and I took my ramble. And St. James Park today is no wild sexual Disneyland. Don't get your hopes up. But there is a Starbucks. So trust me, this old crusty English major, your UCLA English degree is awesome. It has armed you with the superpowers of all those Greek and Roman gods that Edith Hamilton wrote about in mythology, making everything possible for you at this moment in your life. Everything is possible. What a wonderful place to be. Now, if you've been listening, you will have heard 25 references to my favorite literature, as well as alliteration, metaphor, simile, analogy, foreshadowing, hyperbole, sarcasm, hidden meaning, rhetorical question, and paradox. Take that, non-English majors. I wish each of you an incredible life, however you choose to define it for yourself. And remember, the only thing to remember from my speech today, especially since UCLA is going to post it on YouTube forever, you can do anything in life with your English degree. Now, go do it. Thank you.